Hi, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. And today I'm going to be talking about something that somebody asked me about what do I do or how do I handle people not believing you. So let us hop right into this because this is a pretty common reaction in my experience of 10 years in recovery and sharing my trauma with a lot of people. I have definitely experienced a lot of people disbelieving me. So first I'm going to go over why I think it happens, and then I'm going to go over my reactions to it. So trauma inspires disbelief or denial sometimes due to a few factors. And when we think about people sharing stuff with someone, as a listener, the first reaction a lot of humans have is to empathize or to sympathize with what the person is saying. Now, say that a person cannot empathize or sympathize. It can cause them to doubt because of that discomfort that they're feeling of, I've never experienced anything like this. I've never known anybody who experienced anything like this. And so since it's out of my normal, I cannot just accept it. And several things that feed into what that normal is the Disney reality, which is my own word for it. And that's the reality that the media projects out of what life is and what trauma looks like, what trauma survivors look like, what sort of trauma there is to begin with. And there's a huge lack and void in accurate representation when it comes to trauma in the media and the world that it projects out. And due to that, if someone isn't experienced with trauma, the majority of their information is going to come from something that does not have accurate representations for it. And so that will be very frustrating to try to talk through with someone if their only example is what the media made up. Number 2 on why people deny it is when you share trauma with somebody and say that their reaction is an uncomfortable one, it might not be because they can't relate necessarily. It could be that you are bringing up a topic that is very sensitive to them, and since they still deny it for themselves, they are going to project that denial onto you of, well, it can't hurt because that happened to me and it didn't hurt me. Or I won't even acknowledge that that happened to me, and I won't acknowledge that that happened to anyone. Sort of logical thinking, which is a trauma reaction. That is their own trauma putting up a barrier and a block to not dig into their own pain. And another reason why they might not believe you is if they feel complicit in any way to that trauma, to that damage. If they feel like they've done something similar to a person, or if they feel like they're complicit in your trauma in a personal way, that would be another thing in their brain that would go off that would be like, we have to distance from this, we have to deny this, because the feelings that it's dredging up are really intense. And so there are a myriad of reasons, way more than that, but those are the top ones that come to my mind to why people deny trauma in the first place. Now, my reaction to people denying my trauma has changed over the years. When I first started sharing, and if somebody reacted that way to me, I would get very sad and feel very hurt, and I would shut down and doubt myself and run over my memories again and again and try to fit those two realities together of, well, I know that I experienced this, but they said that it's not like that, so how can these two things coexist? After that, a few years into recovery, I started trusting myself more. I started believing myself more. And that reaction changed to an anger reaction when I would share my trauma and they wouldn't believe me. I would feel resentful towards them of, well, you must have it pretty good if you can sit there and deny me my pain because you can't relate. And good for you that you can't relate, but you're hurting me because you can't. And there was a lot of just simmering anger all the time whenever that reaction would come out. And in the last year or so, I have gotten way better at being more understanding when I see that reaction. And instead of becoming angry or sad that our realities are not meshing well or they're not understanding me, I instead put out all the good intention that I can and just being like, I hope that you can understand trauma in a way that betters your life. Because even though it's causing me this discomfort in this moment, I get to go and communicate with who I want to. I can go get support from where I need it, where I know where I'm going to be understood. And I really, really hope that the person who is trying to deny me my own experience finds inner peace with their inner struggles, which would cause them to do that in the first place. Not that it can't still be irritating and frustrating. I've had some really painful experiences with people denying me my experiences in the last year that has caused psychosis episodes. It can still be extremely triggering. It can still be extremely painful when that does happen. And I'm not saying that I'm, oh, I don't feel pain anymore because of it. No, I try to take a more empathetic approach to it and giving me the care that I know that I need because of my trauma, while allowing that person to believe what they're going to believe. And if that's a toxic relationship for me, just stepping away and being like, all right, you don't have to believe me. We're just not meshing well. And so, I wish them luck in life and I hope that they can figure stuff out, but I need to take care of me. And the key things for all of this that has helped me out a lot is mindfulness, being able to ground, being able to think, being able to know what I know, which is difficult when you have been gaslit for decades. That's very, very difficult, and it's something that you need to practice every day. And something that has helped with that is growing my self-trust through documentation of looking through my diaries and continuing on my journaling. So if, say, I share an experience and someone's like, that didn't happen that way, then I can go back and see what was happening around that time and prove to myself, no, it did happen this way. I remember experiencing it this way. And there's always room for more perspectives, but that doesn't mean that I have to let go of my own. And the last key thing that has really helped in this is peer relationships. My fellow survivor friends who can validate me and my experiences, who do believe me and don't require all this evidence and all of that. I've never shared with a friend and they're like, well, I don't believe you, show me the video diary from that day. You know what I mean? Of where I can be open and not worry about that constant criticism and judgment from someone. And those peer relationships have really allowed me to progress in my recovery. I still have a long way to go. That's for darn sure. I still have a long way to go, but I just wanted to address this real quick because it is a very painful experience to be denied your trauma when you try to share it, because that's a pretty vulnerable moment of, hey, I'm choosing to trust you and I want to share this with you, and then to have that denied feels like a rejection. But I do have to get going. I hope all y'all have good ones, and thank you for watching.